Manchester City destroyed in the Champions League on the hands of Ruben Amorim and Sporting Lisbon in Portugal by 4-1. What a disaster class by Manchester City after leading 1-0 up, conceding 4 goals, and it could have been even more. Ruben Amorim, tactical masterclass against Pep Guardiola, who had a lot of injuries, to be fair to him, but also no excuses to lose 4-1 against a Sporting Lisbon team that, listen, Man City had all the position, but listen, make sure to hit that like button, people, if you're watching this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're talking about Man City in the Champions League. 3 games lost on the bounce. Hit that like button underneath. Make sure to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. And let me know in the comments what you guys think, because I think it's a crisis mode. 3 games on the bounce, starting from the Spurs game in the Cup. That's 1 trophy gone. Losing to Bournemouth. They've been destroyed away from home at Bournemouth. And also losing to Sporting Lisbon away from home. And now you have to play Brighton. I think a lot of questions need to be asked. Why are the Manchester City's defense so exposed without Rodri? Kovacic is trying to play there. He's not a DM. So Pep Guardiola needs to fix that up. Because, listen, this can't continue until the January transfer window. And also, who guarantees Manchester City that even if they go to in January and try to find a DM and buy one, it's going to be the same level as Rodri? They might take a little bit of time for them to be up to speed about the plan and the system and how Manchester City play. In my opinion, Man City need to find the solution within. They need to find a way to make that defense more tight, because in transition, they look so vulnerable. Manchester City, they look very, very vulnerable, Manchester City. The defenders are exposed. On the transition, there's a lot of spaces. That high line that they play gets exposed many, many times. We've seen it in Bournemouth game. We have seen it against Sporting Lisbon. Even I've seen it against Spurs sometimes. So, looking at this Manchester City situation, I know that it's Pep Guardiola and he can always find a solution. We have seen this movie so many times where Pep Guardiola comes the second half of the season and he turns it around. But there is no Rodri out there. There is no Rodri. The problem this season isn't offensively. We will talk about the offensive side, and Erling Haaland missed the penalty. He hasn't been at his best lately, but we know that Kevin De Bruyne, who played some minutes in this game, is coming back. And we know Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, it's a deadly duo. But it's still, you still concede a lot of chances. They are, as I call them in the league, the kings of comebacks. Manchester City, the kings of comebacks. And they concede first, and then they come back. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they conceded first in 6 out of the 10 games played in the league. They were trailing. Sorry, if you say Arsenal game, they were trailing in 6 games out of the 10 games they played this season. That's plus the cup game, right? So for me, Manchester City, it doesn't look good. If there is any manager to turn it around, it is Pep. And we all know that. It is Pep Guardiola. But in the same time, you need to look at this now and say, there is no Rodri. What are you going to do, Pep? What are you going to do to tighten that defense? And also, offensively, as we said, yes, Foden scored today. But if Erling Haaland doesn't turn up in some games, the offensive line is so behind in terms of the GA, in terms of having assists, having goals. The Savios, the Dokos need to provide goals. Bernardo Silva was never the guy provide a lot of goals. Maybe he need to step up. Kevin De Bruyne is back, I know. But is this the same Kevin De Bruyne of last season? After a long time injury now, that for a couple of months he has been out, or 3 months he has been out. Since the beginning of the season, I think he played only 1 or 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. Can they solve the offensive problem? The wingers aren't providing output. They are saved by John Stones one game. They are saved by Gavardiol the other game. They are saved by defenders and midfielders. Kovacic stepped up in one game. It cannot be all Erling Haaland who steps up, because Phil Foden, yes, he scored today, but he hasn't been the man for Man City for the majority of the season. Yes, he hasn't played a lot of games, but even in the games he played, he wasn't fantastic. Pep Guardiola needs to find a solution now. Liverpool are racking up the points. And also, this thing about the players are tired, or this thing about the players, this is the beginning of the season. Some of the players did not have the busiest summer. You can't tell me that Savio started. You can't tell me that Haaland is tired. Some of them didn't reach the latter stages of the Euros. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm like, if I'm a City fan, I'm a little bit worried about the team. And I'm banking so much on the fact that I have Pep Guardiola as a manager and he can turn it around. But if we're looking at the system, we're looking at the way they play now in the last 3-4 games, we look at the way the players perform on the pitch. Tactically, I think some of the players aren't in the right places. Some of the players aren't performing up to the tactical level that Pep Guardiola needs. He's asking things from his wingers and they're not providing the output. The defenders now, every time they're defending in spaces, they look exposed because there is no Rodri to slow down the opposition before it goes to them. Kovacic isn't that guy, and he has never been that guy. The guy that stops the opposition in transition when City lose the ball. And now also because you have players like Savinho and Doku who take a lot of risks, you might lose the ball and there will be a transition against you. It's not like old days when you had all the position-based wingers like the Grealish where you have the ball all the time. Yes, when you get the ball, but every time Doku tries to dribble and get dispossessed, or Savinho tries to dribble and get dispossessed, the team is exposed. And there is no Rodri to commit the foul or stop the opposition. There is no Fernandinho like back in the days to stop the opposition. And the defense is exposed. The Rico Lewis is exposed. The Kanjis, Diaz's are exposed. Even John Stones when he played some game. Pep Guardiola needs to find a solution to stop his defenders from defending in a lot of spaces. Maybe drop deep. Maybe defend a little bit deeper. Maybe not play a high line. Maybe when you lose the ball, you go compact a little bit. I'm not saying park the bus. But also you have to stop the opposition from having abundance of spaces. Every time you try to press, we've seen it many games this season. That his team when they press and someone bypasses the press, they're in open spaces against your defenders. That is not great. That is not great from Pep Guardiola. He's not tired. He's a genius. One of the best managers we've ever seen in our life. Is he a disaster if they don't win the league? With this Arsenal team, now how are they performing? And Arne Slot is the first year, I think it's a failure. Because you can get a 5-peat, which is, I think you'll never see a 5-peat again in the Premier League. Maybe it's the last time before he leaves. He needs that league title because Arsenal are not firing in full cylinders. So I'm looking at the game today, and Ruben Amorim, boy, tactically outclassed Pep Guardiola. He's going to Manchester United, so Manchester United fans are so happy and absolutely buzzing about Amorim. Make sure to like the video, guys, before you go. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I will see you guys soon.